Well, let's chat a little bit then about the just overall draft experience, which, I mean, kind of crazy that they're going to go away with the in-person drafts in general. But yeah. I mean, talk us through it. Like, how cool, like, how surreal is that experience, and who all went with you for draft day?
Yeah, that was unbelievable experience. So we got in it was in Nashville, obviously, which, by the way, is unbelievable city for it as well. Great food, great people. We got in a couple days before the draft and kind of experienced the city a little bit, had a couple last-minute interviews, and then, obviously draft day, my strength coach from back here, Carson Fossum, was with me. Skating trainer came out as well. Aunts, uncles. We had a bunch of friends go out too, just kind of on their own, family members. And then obviously my family, my mom, my dad, brother, and sister. And I think that was the coolest part of it all, honestly, was just being able to like see the joy on their face and all the work that they put into me growing up. It's, it's really a tribute to them at that moment. It's not really about me. And it's cool to put that into perspective at the draft. And obviously a dream come true getting drafted by an NHL team. So.
Yeah, like obviously one of the more fun things for us as writers is doing mock drafts and reading the tea leaves on who's going after who and who's going to fall to 20-something for the Wild. And you mentioned interviews. Who all did you interview with? What teams were the ones that were kind of showed the most interest kind of leading up to draft day?
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple. I remember I had my two last-minute interviews were with the Jets, the Winnipeg Jets, I think. I don't even know if I can say this, but – the Jets.
Okay. You're already drafted now. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm already drafted. Doesn't matter. And then the Bruins actually had a last-minute interview with me, which was pretty interesting because I thought I was going to be slotted on the first day in the first round, and they didn't have a pick. So, that was pretty interesting. But
just immediately text all your buddies like, "Hey, Bruins are making a trade."
Yeah, I didn't say anything. I didn't want it to get out, but
yeah.
Oh yeah, that was pretty crazy. And then. I think, you interview with teams at the combine as well and throughout the year. So you don't get a great feel for who's going to draft you, but you definitely get a good feel who's interested in you.
You have experience with the Wild too? I'm sure at the combine they talked to you at least. So
yeah, I talked to them throughout the year too. They're for sure. I mean, they were kind of in my range a little bit, I'd say. And I didn't know at the time who was going to draft me, but fortunately it was Chicago. Really, really fortunate with Chicago for sure.
You said that you're like pretty plugged in on social, but don't really post yourself. Are you aware of just how many Wild fans were like punching holes in their walls when Chicago took you?
I actually wasn't. So my dad might be a little even more plugged in, and he was telling me like, oh, like there are some Wild fans that aren't too happy, but I was close to them for sure, and. Yeah, that was funny, though. It was funny to see. He showed me a couple tweets or whatever. It was funny.
It was a full-out meltdown. We do a live stream every year for the draft, and just, like, there was zero room for happiness.
Yeah. Billy Stram was a good player, though, too. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did you get a chance? Like, did you get interviewed at all by Stevie Y?
Oh, yeah. So he was my first interview at the combine, actually.
What a way to start it. Like, everyone talks about how bizarre his like approach is and like just how like stone cold serious he is. Like anything you can shed from that without trading company secrets?
Oh no, honestly, I just remember he was a great guy. I mean, it wasn't super uptight, just kind of a looser interview. And I didn't have that experience with him. No, like really super tough questions from him, but yeah, I just remember obviously he's super respectable with his, NHL career. And yeah, it was cool to meet him, honestly.
Yeah. What was the weirdest question you got from someone? Like, I know they always try to test guys and put them in different situations. Like, what's the most fun or weird question you got in the whole process?
I feel like that, honestly, for me, it was just the animal one.
I was just going to make that as a joke.
Yeah, it was just the animal one. I mean, there was a couple. I remember I got asked by a team. It was just like they gave me some scenarios and just weird scenarios that I never thought I would get asked. and I had to answer those. But other than that, I'd say it was the animal one. Animal on the ice and off the ice. Oh, I got to turn on the lights in here again. Let's move.
Motion sensor. So what animal?
I said off the ice, I was like a golden retriever or something like that. I don't know why. And then on the ice, I said I think it was like shark or something like that. Something pretty basic.
Nice. All right.
Everyone talks about, obviously, from NICE, everybody says you have any NHL shot already, no matter if you're playing in college or not. And you saw these other guys go through it already, the experience. And they always say that, the only person that can know if you're ready is that individual player themselves. Just like, do you feel like you're ready to take the next step? And, at some point here, this summer, turn pro, whenever that is?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of living in the moment now, and I'm not super ready to make that decision yet. I think as a player, once that time comes, I'll be able to decide it on the spot. I think right now, I still obviously I really don't know, and it's kind of weird to say, but I honestly have no idea. Like once that day comes where it comes to my mind, and my gut's telling me the right thing, what to do, then I'll go with that. But right now, I mean, I love being in college, and I love playing college hockey with all of my best friends. So
yeah, and
let's put it this way. Like, Nye said he came back for a reason. He came back because he wanted to be a little more mature. He wanted to do certain things. When you decided to come back, what were some things on your checklist? You said, hey, I want to do this. Other than, of course, winning a national championship was a big motivator, I'm sure. But what were the things you said, hey, this is something I want to work on in my game to kind of get myself ready?
Yeah, I think be a leader and be a more detailed player. And I think last year I was kind of got away from details quite a bit. I think it was kind of more producing focus, whereas I needed to mature as a person and realize that this is a team, and where we could possibly not be as good. So I need to mature as a player, and hopefully win a national championship with this team. So I think the leadership part has gone really well. Just kind of bringing in all the freshmen, and the details of my game have improved so much since last year. Just kind of the small little things, the small little aspects of my game.
Do you have a minute to talk a little bit about just the draft experience as a whole back in 2022 and what it's, really just soaking the entire moment in?
Yeah, it was really, really cool. I think it all started, obviously that draft morning, just kind of wanting the day to go by quicker so you can be sitting down in your chair at the draft. But once it came, it was really special moment. And then obviously Slavkovsky went first, and the whole rink was going pretty wild because Wright was predicted first since he was 13 years old. So to see that to start it off the day was pretty crazy. And then the trades happen, and then a couple of guys, your teammates, get picked, and you see them walking down, you'll give them a hug, and you're so happy for them as a person, and see them walking up on the stage, and then you hear your name get called, and it's like, well, like this is happening right now. So you hug your family members, and then you walk down the stairs, and you're kind of blacked out, obviously, and there's nothing you can really do but smile. And then you shake Gary Bettman's hand, and it's like, it's all kind of a blur, but you go up and, shake all for me, it was the Blues staff hand. And then you go down and do all the media stuff. And it's really hard to kind of take in the moment because everything's happening so fast. And then by the snap of your fingers, the night's kind of over, and you're hanging out with all your buddies at wherever we were. But it was really nice to just kind of be in that moment. We all got, picked that night, and, obviously some guys didn't, and I was so happy to see them get picked the next day too.
Was there other teams? I know you interviewed probably with a bunch of them. Was there another team you're like, oh, this team picked a couple of picks before St. Louis said they were to take you, and there were teams you thought might have been in the mix there before? Yeah,
I think it was kind of anywhere in that 20 to 25 range is kind of where I thought I was going. I thought, maybe Minnesota could have taken me at 19, but I know I talked with them at the combine, and obviously I wasn't sure how I was going to go, but I think where I got picked, I'm so happy, and I'm so fortunate enough to be with the Blues, and it's a great time to be with them right now.
What was the weirdest interview question you had leading up to the draft?
Maybe Montreal. It's not super weird. They just asked me what animal I am on and off the ice. I gave a really normal answer. I don't know. I just think I said I can't remember, like a lion on the ice or something. I can't remember what I said for off the ice, but it was just like normal questions all day. And then you walk into Montreal's and they ask you what animal you'd be. It kind of just catches you off guard.
Nice.
Some fans wanted us to ask you too, what's your impressions of St. Louis as a city, being there like that? What were your overall thoughts on the town itself?
Yeah, it's cool. To go to Dev Camp, we did we went to a ball game and we went go-karting and paintball too. So I think I really like the town. I like the city. I'm kind of a big baseball guy too, so I love going to the Cardinals game and watching that. It's super hot though, which is kind of the same as Minnesota, but it is really hot there. So, we stocked up on water. But I do like the city a lot.
One more from me, from fans who wanted us to ask, other than you, what about one of your teammates for the Gophers you played with or at the World Juniors has the best shot?
Oh, I have to go with Gauthier. I think his shot is, above all remarks, it's pretty amazing. Just kind of his release point, and he shoots in every situation too, I think. So, he obviously scored against Finland to win it too on that power play. But, he's had that shot since he was a 17 too at NTDP. So.
What was the draft like going with Casey? Like, what was that whole experience like?
It was a really cool experience. We were in Chicago, and we just had an amazing hotel room. I don't know, it was just really cool. We were in the back room as well. It was just a really cool experience. No one really else gets to experience that, so it was pretty cool for sure.
Mm-hmm. What's it like for you, Luke? Like going through your first year of eligibility, not being drafted, and then this past year being taken, like, did you have expectations? Did you think like there were teams talking to you that you expected to pick you up, or how did that all shape out?
Yeah. So actually my first year I went undrafted, but I was on like the central scouting. And then my second year I went undrafted, but I was on the central scouting. So then my third year I was like, all right, like I'll probably be on central scouting again, but doesn't matter. Like whatever happens. And, so I was a 3-year like central scouting vet. I don't know how many times that has happened, but, I'm glad Montreal picked me. And yeah, it was a little crazy ride, but I think like long run, it was good for me to have that adversity and pissed me off a little bit too, for sure. So, yeah.
Well, how tall are you?
5'11".
There it is. I think we just solved the mystery.
There it is. Yep.
You couldn't just like stand on your toes just a touch, or like put a little pad on you.
Put some pucks in my pocket, a little heavier. I don't know.
If you were 6 foot even, you probably would have been like a 2nd-round draft pick.
I don't know. That's a good point, but we'll see.
Well, Lane Hudson isn't that tall, right? Lane Hudson's pretty kind of a smaller dude.
He's kind of a different breed, though. That guy. I don't know. He's a like nothing I've ever seen before.
He's a guy that would have probably gone top 5 had he not been that tall.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah, for sure. He's crazy.
No, John, if we're at the Thanksgiving dinner table with the whole family, who's got the trump card? Casey going top 10 in the draft, or Luke having the Stanley Cup or state tourney championship?
I think it's the state tourney, 100%. Like,
good answer.
I think that like we all wanted that so badly. Like that was just the biggest thing for us. Like we all wanted that state tournament. Obviously Casey has some bragging rights for that. There's no doubt about it, but I would say the state tournament.
I think that's a good answer.
Yeah,
I agree.
So I remember you saying at the Frozen Four, I asked about like the NHL. You're like, hey, this is where you can still be a kid here, and like there, it's like you're a pro, like it's your job, like it's a lot to decision to ask of a guy who's like 18 years old to make that kind of decision. Like, is that something where you went back and forth an awful lot going towards the course of that summer?
Yeah, for sure. I went, back and forth with a lot of things, and at one point you're gonna have to make that jump anyway. So I thought, for me, it's just. I talked to a guy like Clayton Keller for, a good bit of the summer, just trying to learn as much as I can from him. And, he kind of told me what to, expect, which, was a big help for me. But, like I said, it was, you're 18, 19 years old coming in when, you're playing a line with, a guy that's 31 years old, and it's different. It's definitely a, kind of a unique experience, but it's also guys have, welcomed me in so nicely and, really helped that transition, a lot easier.
Knowing what you know now, and we played the NHL for a year, like you've obviously shown you can produce at that level. Like, would you have done the same decision again if you had to go back?
Yeah, that's that's a tough one. I think what makes it the toughest is, just losing that final game and not having a chance to, win the national championship. That's the thing that, kind of like I keep saying, eats at me the most and is the toughest to, kind of leave. I think, going back and forth last summer, that was, obviously I wanted to play in the NHL and, I felt like I was ready, but, at the same time, I was, thinking about that loss and how close we were and, what we could have possibly done again or what we could do differently next year. So it was tough, but I'd say that's the biggest thing that went into my decision.